Imagine a CEO staring at a negative cash flow report. The instinct is immediate: secure an emergency bank loan to make payroll, or slash prices by 20% to artificially drive up sales. But these reactive moves rarely save the company. In fact, jumping at the most obvious fix usually accelerates the collapse, draining profits while the actual malfunction continues to run in the background. Think of it as the paracetamol problem. When a patient complains of a severe headache, a bad doctor hands them a painkiller. The throbbing stops, but the underlying cause, dangerously high blood pressure, is completely ignored until the patient goes into cardiac arrest. Businesses operate the exact same way. Treating a visible symptom creates a dangerous cycle of temporary relief, followed by an even worse cash crunch. Relying on self-diagnosis is a lethal trap. So why do experienced, highly educated founders consistently misdiagnose their own failing operations? The first reason is the normalization of deviance. When you walk the same factory floor for 10 years, a pile of defective parts or a 3-day delay on paperwork stops looking like a disaster and starts looking like normal daily operations. Then there is the trap of working in the business instead of on it. Owners get entirely consumed by daily firefighting, talking to clients, ordering materials, leaving them zero vantage point to step back and observe the entire structural maze. Finally, the silence of subordinates. The people on the floor know exactly what is broken, but fear of corporate hierarchy or simply assuming the boss won't listen keeps the truth buried under the rug. Because internal culture inherently creates these cognitive blind spots, uncovering the true source of a business crisis requires a highly specific type of unbiased outsider. Look at Japan in the 1950s. The country was navigating a post-war economic rebuild, relying almost entirely on a fragile network of small enterprises. The Japanese government recognized a critical flaw. Injecting state loans directly into structurally broken businesses was like pouring water into a leaking bucket. The capital would simply drain away. To solve this, they created the Shindan, state-certified business diagnosticians. Think of them as corporate physicians deployed to perform holistic health checks on struggling companies. Their mandate was absolute. A Shindanshi had to investigate finance, marketing, production, and human resources to locate every operational leak and write a prescription to fix it before a single yen of government funding was approved. This requirement forced a structural shift. Business survival stopped being a hunt for fresh capital and became a strict exercise in operational integrity. Let's look at how this diagnostic methodology works in practice through a modern case study, Siam Metalworks. The CEO brings in a diagnostician with a clear, alarming symptom: severe negative cash flow, requiring an emergency bank loan to make payroll. A standard consultant might immediately prep the loan paperwork. The Shindanshi ignores the loan request entirely and walks straight down to the factory floor. There, hidden in the warehouse, they find the missing cash. Millions of dollars are sitting completely stagnant, tied up in a vast rusting inventory of unsold steel parts. Tracing this symptom back, the diagnostician finds the true organizational disease: a rigid wall isolating sales from production. Incentives are misaligned. Sales takes tiny custom orders. Production, avoiding time-consuming setups, secretly overproduces those orders by 10 times, figuring someone will eventually buy them. The cash flow crisis was a complete illusion. The true threat killing the company was a total breakdown in cross-departmental communication. The Shindanshi's prescription bypasses the bank entirely. First, they force joint sales and operations planning meetings, instantly shattering the silo and aligning both departments' incentives. Next, they implement lean manufacturing techniques, upgrading the factory to swap out heavy molds in minutes so it can efficiently produce small batches without overproducing. Finally, they order the immediate liquidation of that rusted steel inventory at a discount, instantly injecting emergency cash back into the company. By properly diagnosing the root cause, the company cured its operational disease and funded its own recovery, completely eliminating the need for that obvious, desperate bank loan. Look at your own operation right now. The loudest alarm ringing in your office is almost never the actual fire. To test if you are treating a symptom or a disease, run through the Shindanshi checklist. Start by looking at the top line. Are your profits dropping even while your sales rise? Look for other specific warning signs. Are different departments constantly blaming each other for delays? Does the CEO have to micromanage every minor decision down to the office supplies? If you see these patterns, you aren't looking at a few bad days. You're looking at a structural failure that a simple patch won't touch. To stop the bleed, stop managing symptoms and finally audit the system itself. Albert Einstein once noted that if he had an hour to solve a problem, he would spend 55 minutes analyzing the problem and only 5 minutes formulating the solution. Most business leaders adopt the identity of a reactive firefighter. They exhaust time and capital running between crises, putting out daily operational blazes. A diagnostician requires a completely different approach. They operate as architects, engineering a systemic, resilient structure that is simply incapable of catching fire. To achieve long-term success, you have to abandon the ego of the experienced insider. Step back, drop your assumptions, and view your business through the clinical, unsparing lens of the Shindan.